hand at about the tricep. And this one, I like to play right off the shoulder. Okay, this way I get to go into wherever I want to go, but through here, if he starts trying to reach back to grab my arm, good luck. He's probably just going to give himself up. Through here, if he wants to grab a hold of this arm, same thing. He's not going to get a very good grip. But the moment I go like this, you better have purpose the moment you shift in. So that's my entrance point. Then we're going to start to dive in and go after. Right now, we're going to do a couple back attacks. So what Hans is doing, I love when all the people are like, always, active feet. I love it because it just gives me grips. Okay. I like like I said, when I'm down, I'm down, and when I'm up, I'm up. When I'm up, I'll be active foot. When I'm down, good luck getting your fingers underneath my legs. Okay, but I love. So when I'm here, we're going to come in. I'm going to take this hand and I'm going to go under, and we can cup the outside of this thigh. This is just to give me a grip for now. This hand's going to come in, and I love the handle given to me by the nice, beautiful, active feet. So now that I'm here, I'm going to make my hip switch, okay, and then pull him in. I'm pulling on his ankle so that through here, that gives me the room I need to be able to get my foot in. And now I have my crossbody lock coming in through here. I have this one hooked into the shoulder. And then once I'm here, we're open to go pretty much wherever we like. Once I'm in my crossbody lock, I can go in for the back take, I can go in for the twister, I can go truck, I can go pretty much wherever we like from here. But this at least gives me the entrance option. So again, as I'm in, I'm playing. This one shifts in, I make my connection, I make my hop, and then I have my crossbody. Through here, most of my back takes that I prefer, I like to get to that side and crash. I don't like to roll over to the other side. We will, but when we do it with purpose. Right now, the purpose is the crossbody connection. That's why I want to stay here. I'm doing just enough to get this leg underneath him, and then I want him to settle back down on that hook. Okay? Because the moment I roll him over to the other side, like I said, you better have a purpose. Because most of the time, if I'm rolling with, like, say, Hans or Christian or Chardulo or any of these guys that are very good at defending the back attack, the moment I roll them to the other side, getting that hook in the process is fairly difficult, and I'm literally throwing them into their defense. I am the one accelerating them. And so here, all I'm doing is enough to lift them up. If my knee is already in the pocket, it's not much. All I have to do is lift them up just a little bit, kick my leg through, and then bring it back. And again, just let it lay down. That makes sense? Excuse me. I'm getting my right knee in this little pocket. So when Hans lays down, I want to literally see my knee poking out the other side. The grips we're going to use, interchangeable. How we connect to his lower body, interchangeable. Okay? The one piece that I know that makes everything significantly easier, though, is when he falls, that my knee pokes out the other side. Just like when we talk about like getting under hooks, everything. If I lead with the elbow, okay, if I open the door with my elbow, my hand can always go in or out. Okay. If I try to lead with my foot, doesn't always work. If I try to lead with my hand, it doesn't always work. But if my knee can open, or like you're trying to close the door, if I put my foot in, that's one result. If I can get my knee in the door, my foot gets to go in or out. If I put my elbow in the door, my hand gets to go in or out. So when I'm here, again, this is my control position until I'm ready to switch. We can go with the Chris Beck hand in the back. Now, also watch some of the things that we can do. So here's my hand on that bicep. So I can come in here, push his head down, shift my hand in, and I can grab my own wrist, okay, giving me connection to that shoulder. That's the 200%. If he's wearing a gi, I can shift in knee and through here, okay? Sometimes, like I said, the way he's just collapsed through here, when I put my hand in, sometimes I like to just put my hand on the opposite part of his leg. So it's hard for him right now to truly get rid of my connection to his shoulder, no matter how he starts to move. And then, like I said, I also have the connection here with the 200% if you want it, because my hand was already here, okay? Now we're gonna play the same thing through here. Now my hands just shift. I go immediately into my seatbelt, and then we're gonna make the same transition. This time I'm just gonna jump, and I'm gonna throw one leg across his back, and this knee tries to aim for the backside of his elbow, so that when I'm here and I make my jump, now when I fall, you can see the tip of my knee is already through. My success rate just went up dramatically. Now, again, it's about this shoulder. First time we did it, we were here, isolating specifically the shoulder. Now through here, my hands are going to pull. I was going to do this anyway to choke him. So as I fall and I pull the shoulder, look what happens to his hips. As I pull the shoulder, it will naturally pull the opposite hip. This is part of it. We can see when we do like Kimura from top side, and I grab on, when I take my right hip and I sink down, where's the pressure typically transfer? Transfers diagonally up to the opposite shoulder. So when I pull this one, in most cases, because he's laying on my knee, that hip will raise up. All I want is a teeny tiny shift in his weight, literally just kick my foot through. Then all my work is done. Let him lay back down and bring your foot back into the groin. So when I'm here, I make my connection, I make my hop through here, pull, and then let him fall back down. Now once I'm here, it's bottom leg hooked in, okay? Now through here, we can go full triangle, okay? We can hook toes, pinch on the hip up here, but I'm always keeping this nice tension. Through here, we can start going into our tacks, but this just gives me the first main connection, okay? Is the bottom leg, top shoulder. If I control those two, okay, I'm pretty much running the game. And at that point, I can almost do what I want. Almost. Right. One more. So this time I'm going to go north, south, turtle. What does that
That was in stereo.
Oh, the torture.
Couldn't do that.
Phenomenal. So one of the things to think about is so a lot of stuff like twisters from high school wrestling. The twister, which in wrestling is called a guillotine, but in jiu-jitsu, guillotine's already taken. So, it's the twister, which again, it's a cross-body connection done at a hyper level. But in wrestling, it's common. It's not rare. It's a very common move. Literally done high school wrestlers thousands of times across every program, literally all the time. It's not in jiu-jitsu. Oh my God, it's a twister. But like I said, it's a very common move.
Any rubber dinners in it?
But what's interesting though is in different sports, their different rules create different innovations. So like in wrestling, it's kind of funny. I was talking to Jake about this the other day. The gable grip is associated with wrestling. But when I go to grab Hans right now, I can't lock my hands together. In folk style wrestling, that is an illegal grip. I have to leave my hands separate. It's kind of a funny thing, the way the rules work in different sports and the like. So when I first come in, when I go to do this variation, I find the split grip is better than coming in on my gables. Again, all interchangeable. Depending on what you're going to do, what lane on I-4 is the best lane to be in. You got to know what your exits look like so that you know how to pre-stage. Okay, and know if I'm over here, man, you're gonna make a hard cut. It's not to say that you can't, but if traffic's not right, you're probably gonna get in a wreck. Okay, and if you're in the lane to go over here, but you need to go through town, you know the off-ramp side is not always the best choice either. You gotta know the context so that you can be able to do a better evaluation to say, is this reasonable or not? So when I come in, this time, because of the exit I'm going to use, I'm going to go into a split grip on his arm, or a 2-on-1. So this one, I'll do this so you guys can see. This one's going to go completely under and grab into the armpit, and then this one's going to hold on to his elbow. Now again, interchangeable. I could do it this way, okay? But for my exit that I'm about to do, I need my grips to become separate. So I can go ahead and separate them now, or I can separate them later. It's up to you. So now we know we do a lot of our anacondas, and we know we do into like our Armageddons and the like. So through here, I typically pull forward here, and then I pull the elbow across. So I'm opening this nice big gap through here. So now this part's going to be a little bit more based on what is your athleticism. So I'm not as athletic as I used to be. So the variation that we just, you can relax on. The variation that we just did is going to be closer to what I'm going to do. I'm going to get more to Hans's side and then pull him on top of me, okay? Hans has more options. He can actually spin more behind, and rather than just try to get to the side and pull on, he can over-rotate, pretty much go almost all the way to the back and go for the connection from there. Up to you, how far around the body do you want to go? Okay. So now that I've shown you the grip, now I'm going to put it on my good side. So I'm in, got my 2-on-1, pull, cut, get him across. Now through here, if I keep a little pressure down on his elbow, my left hand can let go, and he remains fairly stuck. Now this is where typically, if I was going to go Armageddon, okay, I would come in and I would put my knee inside through here. Now normally I'd have my hands connected and then I'd pull guard. From here, I'm holding on to his arm. Again, options. Leave it. If it feels good to you, don't let go. If this grip, holding onto his arm, still feels fantastic, don't let go yet. We're going to let go in a little bit, because my goal is going to get to this arm. But again, because I'm already holding onto his arm, okay, no harm, no foul. I can stay here. You can see my knee is already in the pocket. Okay, so now this hand is just going to cup. Again, you can go to the ankle, whichever one you like. But now that I'm here, I'm going to again sit and pull, and then notice I just transitioned from that to here. But now again, we're doing it from basically an Armageddon variation, but going into the same back take. So again, I'm in, I control, open him up, cut the corner. Now through here, hold the hand around the neck. I can sit up, control, go inside, boom, 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 and then I want my cross body to make my connection through here. It can be done slowly, it can be done quickly. Like my kids right now, I mean, they will literally fly into it. And in most cases, it's usually because they've already done a good attempt going for an anaconda. And so now, in that front position, when you get locked up like that, the person thinks they're getting either attempted a choke, like an anaconda or the like. Okay? And so ultimately, when they start kind of resisting, you just change it to the back take. And it catches a lot of people by surprise.
No, bueno.
Typically speaking for myself, I will not take him to the other side unless I have a very specific purpose, okay? Which actually is kind of the definition of most of what we do. Why are you grabbing if you don't have a goal? If you're grabbing to hope, okay, we know there's better ways. So grabbing to hope is a way of discovering. There's times where Melissa and I are driving along and I'm like, hey, you know what? I've never taken this road. Let's go down this road. Do I know it, or do I believe it's going to get me home faster? Absolutely not. But am I going to learn more about the area so that when I'm driving along and all of a sudden I see the cop cars because there's an accident at an intersection, I'm like, I already know I can go down this area through here and I can go out that way because I did it about a month ago, just screwing around. Okay, this is what experimentation will do for you. It sometimes will show you other options that may not make sense right now, but down the road, it may make sense. Like I said, when I'm driving along, I've got the time, I've got the opportunity. It doesn't mean anything to me right now. Why not go down some roads that you've never been? Okay, that's like your jujitsu. Sometimes when you're just rolling, okay, experiment, play. That's the beauty part of it. Try out some new stuff, even if it doesn't make sense, and see what happens. Because right now, when we're rolling on the floor, none of it matters. It's all experience. Okay, there's no in this environment, with the exception of injuries, there's no bad experience. Okay, because we're not winning or losing right now. We're just testing out theories to see which ones gain more traction and which ones don't really pan out. But every time you experiment, okay, there is a lesson learned, but it may not be understood today. Like I said, when I go down that pathway, I'm like, hey, yeah, this kind of is interesting out here. It didn't make sense until one day we're driving along and traffic is backed up like horrendously. And I'm like, hey, I know though, because I've already done it, that this area over here connects to this area over here. And it's a little bit of a roundabout way. I probably never would choose to drive it willingly, but it works. So, whatever entrance that puts us into the crossbody, I don't care which one you do, you pick. That's the beauty of having multiple options. You pick what gets you to the crossbody. The crossbody is the goal I'm searching for. Okay. Then, so I'm going to use the Armageddon style. I'm in, I cut arms across, boom, boom, boom. I'm coming over the top, controlling that arm. As soon as I shift through and I hook, balance him over. Okay. I want him to over rotate. We're gonna land in a 3/4 mount. Okay. And I want this hand on the floor like I'm doing a push-up. This is the position I want to land in. My body's gonna push down on his shoulders to push him down. My hand is going to be on the floor. I'm not going to lay over the top of him. My right knee is heavy on the ground, and my shin is going to be connected. I could care less about the second hook in this application. My goal is the rollover, to get him all the way over the top. So again, how we get to the crossbody, I don't care. I'm in here. Oh no, I make my connection. I fall. I kick through right here. I'm pulling on his shoulder. Okay. As the hand comes through, use the momentum. There's my post. I'm in a 3/4 mount, and I want to be heavy on Hans's back through here. So now, once I'm here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow Hans to start to move around. Okay. I want his hips plastered to the ground. What he's doing right now is what I wanted. Okay, now I'm in a one-on-one. Take the one-on-one, collapse it down, and I'll push him into the floor. Again, my chest is in his back, I'm heavy on his hips, and I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit here, and I'm going to let Hans try to escape again, and again, with his, oh, this is what I love. Okay, because once his hand gets connected to the floor, okay, his head becomes wide open. I want to let him try it to the best of his ability. That's why I'm not even doing anything to him right now. I'm going to let him push, I'm going to let him push, I'm going to let him push, and then I'm going to put my hand around his neck. If I sit heavy on his hips, he is in this weird crossed up position. He's not getting up. I want to control his upper body enough to where I'm in control, but I want him to feel like this is the only option he has to make his escape. Okay, there's no free will on. I want him to feel like this is his out. I want his hips so pinned that he knows that's not happening. But again, remember earlier when I said I'm just going to cup the back of his tricep and I'm going to cup his shoulder. If I touch too soon to go for a choke, Hans is going to just clam up and he's not going to feel comfortable enough to make his attempt to escape. So I'm not gonna attack him at all. I'm just gonna hold on. When he goes to push up, again, I want to switch my cross-body connection. So right now, this was the one making the cross-body. As soon as he pushes up enough, it switches to this hand. And again, with this one, if you can't, don't even touch his shoulder. Take some weight off, heavy on the hips, lighter on the shoulders. And again, they're gonna eventually go, I want out of here, and he's gonna make the push-up. Okay? Let him. Don't go, the moment his hand touches the ground, don't go, now's my chance, and go for the choke. Don't. Okay? Feel comfortable in your position, experiment. How far can you go? How far can you let him do a push-up before you start to feel like you're losing any balance? Okay? I'm gonna guarantee if you're doing it well on the hips, it's pretty far. Okay? And the more committed he becomes to doing the push-up, the more his throat becomes exposed. And now when I put my hand across, the only hand that's gonna save him is as far away from his neck as possible. It's too late. Okay? Now, this is one of the few chokes. I do not push him down. I pull him up. His spine is already going to be compressed because of the floor. As I push him in, he can't go anywhere. So when I hook in, I just pull up on his neck to set the choke. Does that make sense? So if you want to use Armageddon style, if you want to use the jumping version, it's just however you get into the crossbody is perfectly fine. Okay? So when I'm in, do the crisp neck. Okay? Again, I can come in. Oh, look, there's a 2-on-1. Okay? We can use the jump. Okay? I come in. Again, the bottom hook is the priority. So as I fall, bottom hook goes in. Now I pull the upper. Spider-Man pose. Superhero. Now through here. His hand has an option. He can make his way out. Okay? This isn't so difficult through here, but watch what's going to happen. He brings it to me. Now we collapse it. Now I stay here. Look, I can play this. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And let him